Hey YouTube, special episode of Fat Man's Guide this week. We've traveled all the way to Solihull, England, rainy Solihull, England, home of Range Rover. That's actually a lie.
He's a liar.
We're in my messy driveway. I didn't have time to clean anything up. My son Jackson came home from Nashville and on kind of short notice and brought Colonel Reb back. This is a video that I've wanted to do for a while. While I had both of them here, I thought I would do it. This is a comparison between the L322, which a lot of people say is the best Range Rover ever made. In fact, Harry and Jeremy Clarkson have called this the best vehicle ever made, period. And the L405, which is, now it's one model back. They have moved on. I think it's the L460. Anyway, we're going to do a comparison between the two today and see which did it better and put up a score sheet. At the end, let me know your comments. Let me know if you think the L322 is a better Range Rover or the L405 is a better Range Rover. So we'll start with the outside. In terms of the overall styling, to me the L405 is more modern, it's more curved, it's more aerodynamic. It's almost got a little bit of an Art Deco feel to it. The classic cars of the 30s and 40s, whereas the L322 a little bit boxier. And to me, it is just a timeless look. When you look at it, you instantly think Range Rover. You can see the bloodline directly from the Range Rover Classic, the very first Range Rover, into this in terms of its shape. And I kind of like the boxiness, although, you know, you got to realize that I'm coming from the very first car I ever bought was a Jeep Grand Cherokee XJ, and those things are boxy as they can be. In terms of headlights, Colonel Reb is brighter. He has adaptive headlights, so when you go around a corner, the headlights follow you around the corner. From the front, it's a little hard to see, but Donna does have built-in daytime running lights, the LEDs from the factory. Something a little different in the L405, you can turn on the fog lights when the headlights are in the auto position. In the L322, it has to be in the on position in order for the fog lights to come on. Next thing that we want to look at is on the L322, the V in Rover points towards the hood opening spot. Of course, in the L322, the hood catch is under the V points to the hood catch. They've moved it to the center in the L405. This is probably a little bit hard to see, but the L405 has a service position for the hood. There's a little latch here that goes down. You can probably see the hole in it here. You can see the dust mark here, but the hole in it here snaps over this little nipple when you stand it straight up. You take off the struts, and then you can pop it into service position. You get better access. For overall ease of working on the engine, you can see everything is covered. In order to change the accessory belt or the serpentine belt, you got to take a whole bunch of stuff off. It's about a 3-hour job. Overall engine bay, you can see that that there is much more room. Now you do have the plastic cover, but that pops right off. In terms of changing the serpentine belt, it is about a 10-minute job as opposed to a 3-hour job in the L322. Overall, of course, this is a V6. The L322 has a V8, a 4.4 V8, so this is a smaller engine, takes up less room, easier to get in and work on. And being a modern diesel, this does have the diesel exhaust fluid that has to be added. AdBlue, I did a video on that. Colonel Reb, on the other hand, is a petrol engine, so he does not require DEF. Colonel Reb still has a dipstick to check the engine oil. The L405 does not have a dipstick to check the oil. You have to do it through the dash. There is no access to the battery here. It's underneath the spare tire in the boot. You do have jump ports here. A lot of modern cars are going to the jump ports out here because they have moved the battery. Still right here in the engine compartment I think it's universally on the passenger side. While we're under here, I mentioned this in all the forums, all the Facebook posts. The ground strap on these things perish, and your drivetrain doesn't end up being connected to the battery. It puts a lot of stress on your alternator. It puts a lot of stress on your starter. These things run on a million different sensors, and all those sensors have a signal voltage. And if you don't have a good ground, that signal voltage is a little wonky, and you'll have cascading faults. Dash will turn into a Christmas tree. I've got a pretty good wire going down to a body on the starter. Alternator produces the most electricity. Starter uses the most electricity. So it goes from the starter to the lug here. Follow it around, and it's right under there, and that connects directly to the ground. So it's essentially from the starter body to the negative on the battery. So moving down the side, you can see that they put the side turn signal up here on the front wing. I like the uniqueness of it. Everybody puts them in the mirror. The gills on this, I call these the gills. Some people call them the vents. On these, it actually is a hole that goes through there, vents the engine compartment, so they are actually functional. The indicator is on the front, much more muted than it is on the L322. Side blinker is up here on the front wing. They have moved it to the wing mirror, and also the vents here have moved from the front quarter panel onto the door. Completely a design element now. They're not actually vents. Both the L322 and the L405 have a satisfying thud when you close the door. One advantage the L405 has is soft close. In Colonel Reb, you have to push a button right inside, and they will fold in. Have a satisfying thud. I mean, that's almost 20-year-old truck, still sounds solid. Whereas the L322 key is a disaster. The L405 is a much more modern-looking key, but these do have the touch lock, and with the touch lock, it's got auto-closing mirrors. And on the unlock, you just touch it, mirrors come out. In terms of looking at the back, I think Colonel Reb has just a classic silhouette. The L405 is more rounded, and even though the cargo area, I think, in Colonel Reb is a little bit smaller, it actually holds more. It feels like it holds more to me just because of the height. Both have the classic Range Rover split tailgate. In Colonel Reb, the bottom gate is taller, probably, I don't know, 16, 18 inches, whereas in the L405, it is closer to 8 or 10 inches in here. The L322 has these big, thick, chunky cables. Now, over in England and up north, they seem to rot. This is actually a replacement because I added the little damper here. I'll put a link to that video. It is almost impossible to see in this video. The L405 has these skinny little cables. Now, somebody commented on one of my other videos that that actually is not carrying any of the weight. All the weight is designed to be carried by the hinges, and those are just to help pull the gate closed because it is auto opening and auto closing.
Hit a button up here. The bottom will come up, top will come down, and it also has soft close.
Both have the hard parcel shelf. Colonel Reb has the pet net, which I really like. The dogs never ride back here, but I think it's cool, so I keep it up. Here we've got the hard parcel shelf, and the rear seats lean. Jackson's packing up to leave, so we won't go through all of it, but in terms of ease of access, Colonel Reb has the spare wheel hoist. The spare tire is up underneath here. I don't know that we can see that. Hard to get to. as is the other one. I hear that they make a hoist that you hook up here and lift up you can lift up the spare tire and swing it out. I'm gonna have to look at getting one of those. I think they're like $120, but that is one heavy spare. Both, of course, have the rubber mats. The rear view cameras. This is a Chinese unit off of eBay. I had to do some rewiring, but it does work. Now it tells you you're super close to things when you're not, so it's not really calibrated for the truck, but at least you can see out the back a little bit. The backup camera on Donna is up under here. The sunroof shade is open, and it's it's kind of a dreary day here today. And so it is a little bit cave-like back here, even with the sunroof shade open. Rear armrest, I've got a video out there. Swap this out. This is actually a newer model. I think this is out of a 2011. It does have room for the rear seat remote. Once again, even though it's a 20-year-old truck, very satisfying thud. These things are put together like a brick shithouse. And you can notice with the full pano roof, it is much lighter and airier. In the L322, you're kind of in a cave. In terms of the center armrest, pops out. These cup holders are a little bit deeper, and you still have a little cubby. Just didn't push it down far enough. So you've got a cubby. If I had the rear seat entertainment, the remote would fit in here as it is, just a spot for junk. In terms of the cockpit, Colonel Reb is more familiar. I think it's more comfortable. I think it's a more comfortable ride. You really sit up higher. You can see the distance from where your knees break to the floor. Your feet are more up underneath you, like your favorite wing chair at home. So in terms of the cockpit, you can see that the doors open wide for easy access. I think the seats in the L322 are a little bit more comfortable. These are ventilated, so that's a big plus. Down here in the summer, it's summertime right now, and having that nice cool air blowing on your back is kind of nice. In the L405, I like the layout. This is similar to the late L322s. It is certainly more updated than Colonel Reb. They have flipped everything in the L322, or at least in the 2006. Over here was the speedo, and over here was the odometer. They've switched the sides. It seems like they switched everything. But one of the very nice things that you can get to is you can get to the menu in here, and you can configure the car. In the L322, you have to do it through the Gap IID tool. The heads-up display is cool when it works. One of the fans is burned up, I believe, and so it works for about an hour. Depending on the outside temperature, it works for about an hour, and then it will overheat and shut down. The steering wheels are very similar. The wings are a little bit more pronounced in the L322. I like the silver bars for the horns. To me, it's something a little bit more unique, and something that sets it apart. Everything over here is cruise control, heated wheel. Everything over here is for audio controls. It's on an earlier video. These are paddle shifters that were an option on the 2010 through 2012 models. I put those in. It was a kit out of England. I'll put a link in the bottom, of course. In terms of the driver's dash, you can see that it is pretty bright. It's got all the information that you need. The speed is over here, nice big letters, and the tack is over here, also nice big letters. There's a bunch of different things that you should be able to just configure within the car, especially since you've got this touch screen infotainment center, but you can't configure the car. You have to have your Gap IID tool. In terms of the start-stop, one of the nice things that Colonel Reb has that Donna the Diesel does not is an accessory position. So I can sit here and listen to the radio. All the accessories are turned on, but the car is not. Now, one of the weird things is the cigarette lighters or the power plugs are not energized in accessory position. It's got to be all the way in the on position. The L405, at least the 2016 L405, and if there's somebody out there with a 2013 through 2016 L405 and you can tell me how to get into accessory, I would appreciate it. I think 2017 on they did, so I'm going to go ahead and hit the stop button, and everything is off. If I hit the button once, the whole car comes on. In terms of the center infotainment center, neither one of the stock ones is great. Donna gets the nod because of the Merryway unit. You can see here we've got some good-looking dude doing a YouTube review of the L405. I like the fact that the pre-facelift model still has buttons for the climate control. Kind of nice that they dual purpose, so it's on low temperature. You can flip it and turn your vented seats on, turn them the other way to heated seats, push it again, and it is your temperature control. Everything is out here. You don't have to go through a screen. I prefer buttons for climate control. I do have the old BMW blade key, and these things are pricey. Believe it or not, you can see the dimples in it. This is my second key. The first one looks even worse than this. Bought it used. It only came with one key, and so my wife got me this one for my birthday. And then the sunroof controls. Now the sunroof on this one, when you push it, it pops up, and to open it, it actually goes under the roof. You can see it at the end. It's low, and it rides up, and then for the upper console here, it's a little bit different. No sunglass holder up here. You do still have the controls for the skylight and for the shade. Now the shade is automatic. In Colonel Reb, you have to pull it by hand. Woe is me. The nice thing about this is it is translucent, so even when it's closed, the inside is fairly light and airy. Sunroof goes above the truck, whereas the L322, it slides under the roof. This slides above the other sunroof. In terms of the gear lever, if we were talking stock for stock, then the L322 would win hands down. Donna came with a spinny knob that all L405s do. I'll put a picture of it up above, but this was quite a project to swap in. I've done a video about it, and the terrain response actually came into the L322 1 year after Colonel Reb in 2007. So I only missed it by a year, but the whole dashboard, or the whole center console changed. Hill descent, just like we have in the L322. Low range, traction control on off. This is what Range Rover calls all-terrain progress control. Easy for me to say. It is effectively off-road cruise control. We've got our height adjustment here instead of up on the dash, and you just push the button. Automatic speed limiter, I think, is a product of Satan. I don't know why you would ever want to limit the speed. The auto on off is there's a lot of people that hate it. It helps with the gas mileage. Instead of a proper handbrake, we've got the electronic parking brake. Kind of nice. I mean, this one actually does hold the truck on a hill. This is a 2006, so I've got the single large glove box. You can see it'll hold a lot down in here. I've got not only the owner's manual, but the 6-disc CD changer, as well as the fuse box. In 2007, they moved to the dual upper and lower. My wife has said she thinks that these seats are a little bit wider, a little more comfortable. I tend to agree. The cup holder over here, very unique. I like the fact that it's over here. It's not ideal that it's in front of the vent, but I think it's cool. I think it's quirky, and so I really like that. I like it so much that I tried to emulate it in Donna. For the passenger side, easy access. Again, it's got the door cubby. Sunglasses are in here instead of up above. I don't ride over here much, so I'm going off what my wife says. It is very nice to have the vented seats, not only the heated seats, but also the vented seats. and I liked the cup holder in the L322 that was in the dash so much that I tried to imitate it with this cup holder. We've got a large lower glove box, and then similar to the later L322s, we've also got an upper glove box. Not a lot fits in there. In terms of the driving experience, both are really about the same. I said it during the L322 video. They both shift just buttery smooth. This is the ZF6. In Donna, we've got the ZF8. There is no slop in the steering. It is tight. The L322 is more of a truck-like ride. It's a firmer ride. I frankly prefer it. The L405 kind of wallers a little bit. Colonel Reb corners a little bit. There's a little bit less body roll. I'm going to look into maybe changing the dampers on the L405. They're at almost 110,000 miles, and so it might be time to change them. That may stiffen things up a little bit. It's probably a little hard to tell. We're not really going at speed here, but the L322 does have some road noise. The seals in the doors, the seals in the sunroof are kind of old and getting a little bit crinkly. So the L322 has the naturally aspirated 4.4 V8. It is it's 20 years old, so it doesn't have all 305 horsepower. The amazing thing is it only had like 325 pound-feet of torque. So not really as torquey as you would think. Colonel Reb weighs almost 5,500 pounds. Because Donna's the diesel, in some of the models they shave almost 1,000 pounds off. But because Donna's the diesel engines are a little bit heavier. She's about 500 pounds lighter. In terms of fuel economy, Colonel Reb on the little dash thing, it says that he's averaging 16. Now Jackson does. He lives in downtown Nashville. This has been in downtown Nashville. He did just drive home, but it largely does city driving there, city driving here. In mixed use, this gets probably 16 and a half. Whereas the diesel gets in mixed use gets about 25. All of the Range Rover petrol engines take what we call super unleaded. It's 93 octane. I think it is actually on the little sticker it says 91 octane. We can't get 91 octane here. It's either 87 or 93. I've always run 93 in this. The savings per tank is really not that much. I also try to use non-ethanol when I can find it. It seems to run fine on 87 real gas. So non-ethanol, it'll run fine with 87, but if you're going to use corn juice, it's got to be 93. In terms of the driving experience, they're both wonderful. I mean, I feel lucky. My very first ride ever in a Range Rover was I was 46. Colonel Reb's a little bit tighter, and Donna wallows a little bit more, but great, absolutely great road car. If I am going to travel long distances, I prefer this. Around town, I prefer Colonel Reb. I mean, having access to two Range Rovers is I feel very fortunate. I'm very blessed. We also had a Range Rover Sport for my wife for a little while. That thing was a bit of a gas hog. It was the 5.0 supercharged, and I think it had a 19-gallon tank, and so it was like an electric vehicle. All we did, its range was nothing. All we did was drive from gas station to gas station. Love driving them. Once you've driven one, they kind of get under your skin, and you tend to end up with multiples. If you buy them right and you maintain them, and then also if you learn to work on them just a little bit, the cost of ownership goes way down. I've got a friend that has a 2016, his is a petrol, and it is, any time it makes a bong, bing on the dash, he takes it up to the independent garage that we go to, whereas I will, I'll dive in and try to fix it myself. Colonel Reb is a tighter, more truck-like driving experience. No slop in either steering. This is the ZF8, whereas as the L322 has the ZF6. Now this does have almost 110,000 miles on it. I am going to check the dampers and see if maybe they need to be replaced. I think maybe the ones in the rear do. So being a turbo diesel, the L405 has it's only got like 254 horsepower, but it has something crazy, 440 foot-pounds of torque. I mean, obviously diesels are very torquey. They add the turbo for the for the low end giddy up, but plenty of torque, plenty of pickup. I might go ahead and get into it here. I've never had a problem passing people, going up hills, whatever you need to do. This V6 will do it for you. The L405, at least the diesel, if I'm on the highway, I can almost touch 30 miles to the gallon, but around town, I still get about 25, 26 miles to the gallon. Diesel right now, it's anywhere from about 350 to 365 or so. This also has a much larger tank. Unless I'm doing a whole lot of driving, I work from home, and so I don't drive much, and I don't even think about fueling this thing. In the L322, it was always kind of okay. I got to fill it up again, but this, fuel isn't even really a thought. So while we're at a stoplight here, I'll read you some specs. The L322 I've always kind of considered a mid-size SUV. I think over in Europe it's not. Everybody talks about how big it is, but it's over here. It's not nearly as big as like a Chevy Tahoe or a Suburban or anything like that. The L405 has always felt, to me, has felt larger. I don't know if it's because you don't quite see all the corners, so you don't know where the sides are. Maybe it's because you sit a little bit lower in the cockpit. The L322 is 196 inches long, whereas the L405 is only 197 inches long. So it's only an inch longer, but it feels bigger that way. The L322 is 77. Both of these are without mirrors. The L322 is 77 inches wide. The L405 is 78 inches wide. So it's only an inch wider, although it didn't really need to be wider. That's the one dimension that they could have kept the same or shrunk a little bit. The big difference, and this is, you really notice this the most, is the height on the L322 is it's 75 inches tall, and the L405 is a little over 72 inches tall. So they dropped 3 inches in height. I guess that was probably for aerodynamics, which certainly helps with the fuel economy. Towing for both is an impressive 7,700 pounds. The wheelbase on the L322 is 113 inches long. The wheelbase on the L405 is 115 inches long. And just to give you some perspective on that, the wheelbase on the Jeep JKU is 116 inches. Both of these are great rides. You can't beat a Range Rover for the ride quality. I enjoy them both. For different reasons. The L322 is a little bit stiffer, a little bit more truck-like, a little bit more agricultural, a little more utilitarian. Still, plenty nice on the inside. And certainly for 2006, it was ahead of its time. The L405 is frankly more like an automobile. It is, in terms of ride quality, handling, cornering. They've taken some of the quirky and uniqueness away from the experience. I kind of like the crazy things, like the crazy cup holder in the dash. I like the little horn bars instead of having it in the center of the steering wheel. A lot of what they did was they made it more like every other car on the road. Honda has the horn in the center. This time we didn't really get to see the luxurious mane because of the hat and the fact that we're in the L405. If you have a car channel and you think you got better hair, leave me a comment and submit your hair for judging. So to bring this one to a close, I think I'm going to mirror what a lot of folks have said in the past, maybe a little bit different way. To me, the L322, a little bit more agricultural, still very nice, luxurious appointments on the inside. Back in its day, it was a quiet truck. It still shifts buttery smooth. The steering as tight as it can be. It is more truck-like. It is a better windows down truck. I think it will live on as the Range Rover. This is more like an automobile. It's a better windows up truck. When you're on the highway, this is much quieter. This thing just motors along. It will chew miles, and the fuel economy is certainly better. The L322 is you can see the direct lineage from the original Range Rover. The body still sort of looks like that boxy thing with the tail going up. Here they've kept the tail going up, but everything's a little bit more rounded. They know that their clientele spends 99.995% of the time on the road, so they've really made it more car-like. This is a better windows up truck. The L322 is a better windows down truck. Another way to say it is that the L322 is a better Range Rover. The L405 is a better automobile. So I appreciate y'all riding along. If you agree, leave me a comment. If you disagree, especially leave me a comment. Love to hear them. So take it easy, YouTube. Thanks again for riding along. Drop me a thumbs up. Leave me some comments. And if you feel like it, subscribe. I'm up over 100 subscribers now. So that blows my mind. I think my time's about up. I thank you for yours. Have a good week. Be safe out there, YouTube.